Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, I will be talking about the secrets of the UN hijacking the Americans' culture, livelihood, and destroying the family, as well as economic warfare against the population, keeping people down, keeping them poor, and keep them obedient. I got some really important information right now. Hey, I want to show you guys one thing. I know this video is alone. I know that my camera here is a little bit transparent. I know that you can hear a really annoying background background sound of my truck operating back here. I have my own distribution center. I am currently right next to the Mexican border, right there in Laredo. It's where I pick up a majority of my packages and my shipments for distribution on one of the UN superhighways going all the way up to Canada for the UN global takeover America's economy through surplus of workers, through culture Marxism, basically demoralization of the nation, changing the perspective of reality, and all sorts of psychological war operation against the population. We're talking about craziest conspiracy you ever heard in your life, man. We're talking about, like, Bill Gates just recently came out saying that he was already, trying to get funds for the contact tracing for gang stalking. Now they're trying to make gang stalking legal. Hey, what's up with that, man? There's a lot of video on YouTube. People are talking about being gang stalked in their cities. Well, this is it, folks. Right here. This map is the reason why you're being gang stalked. You're getting kicked out of democratic cities. You are being subvertly, conditioned and oppressed economically, financially, psychologically, and everything you can think of. They are gonna throw right at you because of this map right here. This right here represents everything that's wrong with America and how the UN is taking over, the economic operation of the country and its own sovereignty. You see that big crack right there in the middle? Well, that's the heart of America right there in Kansas City. I got a lot of secrets I want to show you guys about Kansas City, the main headquarters of the UN. Right there, where they had the Oklahoma City bombing right there, right here. See right here? This is where the UN started, and then they moved right here to the heart of America. Oklahoma City bombing was basically, a false flag attack to get the freaking ATF to suppress their constitutional rights, our Second Amendment rights, and then telling us what we can and cannot have as our God-given right. Anyway, I want to get back to the video so that way I'm not over talking and jumping in conclusion. I want to be straight up honest with you guys about everything that I'm doing on the background right now. Okay, I just gave you, a little overall information of here and there, just fish biting information here and there, but let's get to the real big juicy steak, right? All right, so lately I've been working with distribution for a while now, and I've been noticing that you're seeing Antifa, these organized groups taking over cities and democratic counties, and they have a whole conspiracy of drug operation, and they're using black people and Hispanics as their foot armies to go in, depopulate the local counties with drugs, crime, hate crime, all sort of psychological operation on the population. And this map right here is exactly where the drugs coming from, where everything happens, the kidnapping of women, the kids gone missing. This right here is the map that's gonna clue everything together on who is responsible for majority of all the terrorism going on against America. Dallas, Texas, I saw UN operatives going right down here to Louisiana and recruiting people from not only Louisiana but Minneapolis to move to Dallas. They love to give black people, Antifa, communist, drug dealers money to move into the main city towns, downtown Dallas, to downtown Kansas, to Fort Worth, to San Antonio, to Laredo. They like to keep their little foot armies right at the center of the city, because that's where all the money operation happens, and that's where they want to take over and control the supply of, basically the distribution of everything. We're talking restaurants, franchise, we're talking drug sales, we're talking controlling the police, buying off the state representative, buying off the selected officials, replacing people, hijacking universities with key UN operatives to control, target, manipulate students, to teach them to be their servants. Okay, this right here is where the whole thing happens, right there in Chicago as well, in Washington D.C. Every single one of those little pink dots is their headquarters, is how they operate. Gang stalking, psychological operation, drug dealing, mass freaking immigration connected in those city centers right there. And let me tell you something. We're talking about an organized efforts to depopulate the local communities, replace elected and selected officials with their own little minions. We're talking taking over the school and education on the school board to put key people in to start teaching kids about cultural Marxism, globalism, as well as, isolating key targeted people and the local population, and using all sorts of attacks. We're talking statistically, we're talking about medicine, doctors, physicians, everything to get rid of the population at all costs, so that they can put in their people in, have a surplus of workers, where everyone is a servitude economy. That's what they want for the Americans, to be a servitude socialist country where they maintain power and control over the drug, over the counties, over the cities. Okay, while all this right here outside here is being, they're migrating to small little counties and states like Oregon and Seattle, California right here. They're already taking over Phoenix, Arizona right there. New Mexico is almost done, and Florida too. So these little pink dots are growing every single day, and the distribution starts in Laredo and Mexico and runs all the way up to Canada and everywhere else. And the UN has a plan to remove the local protective services, which is the police, the military, our federal investigation agents, and everybody else, because they're training agents since they're little. They're brainwashing these kids to be operatives, to work undercover without knowing. It's all about changing the perspective of the reality of kids, and then rewriting what they should and should not believe, and what kind of agenda they should be following. That's why every single liberal you see looking all fresh, they all look the same. They all have their own, Apple freaking watch, Apple, everything's the same. They're literally the same. They got a little iMac thing. Everybody's the same, and they're talking about how they're different, they're this and that. But honestly, these people, they don't even know who they are. They go by insecurities and projection of their own securities into others, and being social justice, being self-righteous, so that they can brainwash and inject you with culture Marxists without even knowing. And that, my friend, is what I call a brainwashed population ready to spread its very subvert ideologies into the soft minds of American kids and the local population. This is an organized international terrorist group claiming to be self-righteous against the fascists. We're talking about American people being targeted as fascists because they believe in independence, they believe in the constitutional rights, and they believe in their Bill of Rights, and they believe in their rights to be free. And these people are trying to tell you that you're not free, and that the state should be taken over. And then they go ahead and cause false flag attacks, like killing their own police officers in their own cities, and where everybody is their own governors and everything else, so that they can defund the police, and then bring in what? The UN to have an oversight of the population, and they already have been doing that in Utah. There's a UN building right there in Utah. They're already targeting the population, making lists of people using social media and using metadata to track and monitor people's ideologies and what they believe in and what they like and what they don't like on Facebook and all other social medias. They're all interconnected. This is the ChiCon mixed in with the UN, the World Health Organization, Bill Gates, and everybody else, all in one organized new world order: financial, ideological, religious, educational, everything, hijacking the whole country little by little. Starting with who? Starting with educational system, brainwashing kids so that they can get jobs within the federal government or becoming soldiers, and then infiltrating our military, national security secrets, and everything else, so that they can keep running this right here without problems. Drugs infiltration, kidnapping, sex trafficking. We're talking about a conspiracy here against the population of the United States of America. Let me show you something. See Kansas City right here, their main headquarters, right? All right, let me show you another thing here. Okay, so this right here is literally the Democratic map of the city. See the little blue thing right here? That's where all the Democrats are. See the big blue right here, right in the center of town. Right here is the Republicans. See right here, all running away from this right here, the cancer growing inside their city. Crime, we're talking about kidnapping, we're talking about targeted population, we're talking about mass killing the population, preying on women, looking at these guys' women right here, and taking the women, raping them, doing all sorts of economic terrorism against the population right here, so that they can be destroyed financially, morally, and then being depressed, alone, and have bad health problems, have no community support, no religious leaders to guide them and build them up, as a society. And let me show you, this is not just me talking just because I believe in an agenda. I don't have an agenda, folks. What I have right here is proven statistics from multiple resources that I'm going to give it to you without agenda. I have no agenda behind this. This is literally data that I picked up online, and this is from Wikipedia, also from the Kansas data, from where all the voters are and everything else. So it's legit information. The red little colony you see right here is the Republicans running away from the main cities. From the Democrats right here, the crime is insane here. And let me show you another thing. Democrats, they love to use minorities as their foot army because they don't want to be arrested. You know why? Because once they're ready to have their UN agents in, they have to do a couple things before they put their agents in, right? First of all, they need investigation into a conspiracy. And then they have their agents working on something very serious and spooky and something like that. That's huge, right? Before they take over the cities and counties, the federal investigation department, the police department, everything else. It's always an organized false flag no matter what. Because if they're running the crimes, they're running the people in to place people in. So let me show you another thing here. Like I was saying, look where the little blue is the black population. Look at this. Look at this. Let me put this right here and this right here. Look at this. Blue, Democrats, black population here, and the little right here, the yellowish is the Hispanics. See right there, the yellow. This is let me zoom this in real quick. You can see that it's yellow right there in downtown. Yellow and black population all segregated. Black population all segregated in their organized criminal enterprise for drugging, for buying off the local fisher and everything else. Segregation. This is all the white people right here, away from the cities, running away. Look at this right here, running away. White people being forced away. mass killing of the population. This is not because of white people's races and everything else. This is an organized criminal enterprise that destroy their property values. They steal stuff, break in, all sorts of crime, shootouts, and everything else because of drugs. Criminal organized enterprise. It has nothing to do with race. But look at this. UN are funding people to come in the cities so they can operate their undercover drug distribution and organized crime. Let me go back right here to Realtor. Realtor has a tab right here for crime. Let's look right here. Let's click on crime. Look at here. See this? Now, let me go back right here. So that way people don't call me a racist. Black is the blue. Kansas City. Look at this. Look at this, Kansas. Where all the black population are. Look at all the crime right here. See? Right here in downtown Kansas. Right here. This right here. Black population here. Hispanics here. Crime rampant right here. And here where all the Hispanics are. Huge organized crime. Huge. All against the population right here. Look. Look, it's spreading. It's spreading right here. Look, there are Hispanics right here, and it's spreading right here. Look, whites and blacks right here. Look, it's spreading right here. And whites are running away from the cities. And these people are expanding their organized criminal enterprise. See this? See this? Now, this was just Kansas City. Detroit looks like a war zone. Chicago is like Somalia. Denverport, all these little monopolies right here. Crazy, insane riots take over Toronto, Vancouver. Been there before. Chinese, all taking over Vancouver. And I have been to Vancouver and Bellingham right here in Washington. I crossed the border here multiple times with my motorcycle friends. We're trying to get some statistics on Russian and Chinese. We found a lot of Chinese and Russians right here taking over the Seattle and Washington State area. Hey, and guess what? This is where all the little Antifa organized for their little socialist communist takeover. And all this right here in California and all these other places right here. Fort Worth, Laredo, and all that. This is an organized enterprise takeover of criminal, organized gang stalking, organized CHICOM, contact tracing. What a fancy word for gang stalking, huh? Hey, I'm contact tracing my local population. Hey, look, there's a white girl right there. Hey, look, there's a white person right there. You can rape, you can steal, you can manipulate, you can gang stalk, you can destroy. Look, this white person just had a kid. He's going to this school. We have agents there to harass, bully, and now the FBI is going after incels, people who are lonely and suicidal because in their counties there's no community leaders anymore. The girls are all dating minority groups because they have all the money and they get all the attention from these contact tracing operations, social media. And then all the incels, the targeted white kids and everybody else, they get to be lonely, censored, and shadow banned from all social media, and they become depressed and everything else. And then a school shooting happened through a false flag or some crap like that, and then their little FBI agents, the infiltrators, go in and they get an award for coming out and saying the incels is now the terrorist groups from now on, while I'm completely ignoring this UN international takeover of America. Man, we're talking about trillions of dollars of money being poured in. Trillions of dollars of money being poured in. Man, look, I run my own distribution, man. Look behind me. I run my own distribution. Let me tell you something. I have been to all 50 states. All 50 states, man. I'm not gonna lie. I have been to Anchorage, Alaska, Fairbanks. I have been to Washington State, Oregon, California, everywhere. Washington, D.C. right there. I have been to Vancouver. I have been to Mexico. And I have been to every single place on this map in the U.S. Every single town, every single little inch of this country. I have been there because I've been working for 4 or 5 years straight, running my own distribution, and I get to work with all these people face to face, and I see the whole operation. You see these people behind me here? They have a lot of information to share with me about the UN takeover of the logistics. It's a socialist takeover. They took over the transportation, and they're taking over the logistics and the distribution. They're targeting independent operators in America. They're having their own brokers because we need contracts to work with the logistics. A broker comes in and gives you, they take 70% of our profit and leave us hanging. And we have, for to run a business like this, a huge and very expensive distribution center like this requires a lot of this right here, and maintenance, tires, oil change, everything else is expensive. It's always thousands of dollars for anything that happens to this big rig right here behind me. And let me tell you another thing. I've been talking to a lot of these drivers back behind me here, and I was able to confirm all of this because they have been to all these little inches of America distributing for all these elitists and everything else, medical supplies and everything. I have to tell you something, man. There is a communist, socialist takeover of America. Independent workers and everybody else, it's all being, taken over economically. Warfare against the population, economic warfare. All these 50 states you're seeing on this map right here. If I start driving from Miami right here, and I go all the way down, let's see, I drive to California. From California, I go all the way up to freaking Chicago right there. I can do that in a week and a half, easy. Let me tell you something. When I start working from let's say Miami, all I see is a McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Denny's, IHOP, Chili's, Walmart, Best Buy, Staples, Applebee's, all these franchises, okay? Freaking Lions, Publix is only over here in Florida, but everywhere else, I have to tell you something, man, everywhere else is all the same. I can be driving from all 50 states, I'm going to see the same franchise, the servitude economy. All the houses look the same, all the building codes are all the same. The only difference that I found was right here in New Mexico, where I went right inside the reservation of the Indians. They have no building codes, and their houses are built the way they want it, and it's different. It's the only place that's different in America. It's inside the Indian reservations in New Mexico, and I have been there many times. Great people, amazing food. Hey, Native Americans, don't give away your sovereignties. Never become what America has become, because this cancer is growing, and they are planning to replace you and use your kids and use everybody else as their foot army for their culture Marxist takeover against the local population, and completely eradicate your culture and eradicate your people and turn them into enemies of the state for an international elitists who have no interest, for you are, but having you work like Amazon. All these people funding these anti-far groups, they pay less than a living wage for these morons who are protesting, wanting, socialism all 90% of the time. All the franchises that I go to in all 50 states, none of them pay enough money for dignity and a living wage, man. Single moms rampant, marriage statistic disgusting. 90% of the women in the US all single. Insane. And guys, they have nowhere to go or nowhere to work because everything's the same, man. You get a trade job, you're going to be working in different construction sites as a contractor where all the houses look the same. You go to freaking Home Depot and Lowe's to get supplies, or ABC supplies chain, and all 50 states is all the same. Because I used to work for these franchises. I have never been to a franchise that's not Home Depot, Lowe's, or ABC supplies. in all 50 states. That's including New York City. I used to supply freaking patio doors, glass, and everything else for guess who? Freaking ABC Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, all the small business completely bankrupt. I have been to small business owners in Washington D.C. who replaces patio door shower glasses and everything else, all those little fancy stuff, that requires an installer. That's the only freaking work people got, man. Everything else in the whole little county, like the other day I went to a city in Texas, northern Texas, right there, right next to Oklahoma City, and right outside of Texas, right there, in a small little town. Good, honest, hard-working Americans, patriots, people that go to church every Sunday. They have a faith and they have loyalty for the Word of God. And guess what? You go to their town centers, all the business emptied out, everything emptied out. The only thing that there is in the city, in some places, is a Walmart, an AutoZone, and that's it, man. I used to be a milk hauler. I used to be part of the milk gang. And guess what? The milk gang is a socialist, because the farmers, the real farmers, American farmers, milk farmers, they cannot survive unless they work for guess who? Publix, Walmart, and all the milking, the milk, the milking company that sells little milk for kids in school. That's it, man. That's all the farmers got. So you got like a bunch of farmers, and I used to go to those farms, talk to the farmers, and I'm like, hey, how's it going, man? The guy's like, man, I'm not feeling good, man. I make no money. I got all these cows here, and I literally not making any money. You come here, you take my milk, and it goes straight to Publix. They pay pennies on the dollar for our product. They process everything. We don't have money for a brokerage. We don't have money for equipment for hauling, transporting all this milk, processing, pulling ammonia in, lab tested, because all the milk has to be lab tested and FDA approved for consumption and everything else. It requires like scientists, equipment, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars of equipment for farmers to be able to survive on their own. And let me tell you something, Texas, man, it's sad, because I drove through every single inch of Texas, and let me tell you something, I don't see no freaking culture. I don't see cowboys running around, hey, come right over to my restaurant right here. We got all these country food, apple pie, delicious American food, burger, delicious ribs that people can cook. And you know what I see everywhere I go to Texas? Freaking IHOP, Chili's, Texas Roadhouse. That's it, man. The local population got ran the fuck out. There's no culture anymore. We are slowly becoming a socialist country. There's no more independence anymore. Only 5% of the population right now own their own business. If not, it's much, much less after Corona. And the only people who were able to operate during this Chinese takeover of the small business was Walmart and all of the Chinese operated places like Target, Best Buy, and everybody else. And McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. Disgusting, folks. Disgusting. I run my distribution. I ran all the essential items. The freaking, who gave me a letter? Who sent me a letter? The freaking government, DHS. Let me tell you something. DHS, the Department of Defense, sent me a letter saying, "Hi there, essential workers. You're now essential 100%. You cannot operate in all 50 states. Nobody can stop you or harass you or do anything like that." What kind of free country is this shit when DHS is sending me a letter telling me that I'm free, that I can navigate, and I can travel, and that I'm essential? What happened to all the workers? What happened to everybody else? Let me tell you something. The only essential people that was able to operate was the people who was feeding the socialist franchise, and these people were making lists of essential workers, because as soon as they get the UN in, They're going to get rid of the local population and keep all the essential operations going by the essential workers, socialists, mass displacement of the community and everything else, so that they can start their greatest reset. You know what I'm talking about? You know, that communist shit where they talk about the reset, the economic reset, the culture reset, you know, the police reset, the army reset, so they can put their UN agents in and start operating and mass killing the population, starving the locals out, destroying the church, burning down the courthouse and burning down everything, so they can install their UN headquarters right there that's already built in Utah. Because I have been there and I was harassed the fuck out of these little spies, these little stalkers, these little contact tracers who's been, you know, operating undercover for over 15 years. I've been harassed by these people, man. 15 years I've been harassed by these people. Constantly gang stalk, constantly sabotage, constantly follow, constantly contact trace, constantly under stress, constantly isolated, no sex, no women, no nothing. You're not allowed to do anything else unless you worship the UN and the socialists and all these bullshit that comes from the UN and the international banking elitists and the Bilderberg Group, who literally owns the whole everything. The Bilderberg Group is responsible for this shit right here, this map right here. The Bilderberg Group is responsible for every single one of this shit right here, because they own the socialist franchise. They own Walmart. They own all the soft drinks operations. They own all the chemical and pharmaceutical companies, everything you can think of, folks. You know how I know all this? Because I run my own distribution, man. I work with these people because there's nobody who to work with. There's nobody to work for in America anymore, man. There's no independence anymore. Okay? There's no... The last delivery that I made for an independent small business was distributing glass from China. So all they do is cut that shit in special little designs and install it for the freaking hotels and the local population and windows and everything else. You see this? The window right there? This is all the shit comes from China, from the ports. I pick up that shit from China, okay? You get bananas from freaking California. Did you know that a big ship, a merchant ship, comes from South America, and all the bananas that you eat comes from that place? And it's a huge ship that with a huge banana on there, making fun of Americans. You know, hey, you don't grow in bananas, so here's a bunch of bananas, you monkeys. And they deliver to all 50 states all the banana, including Alaska and Hawaii. Expensive banana, folks, to get to Hawaii, but they get to eat bananas too. And it's insane, man. Insane. I work with these people every day. A drug operation in Laredo. I don't run drugs, okay? For all of you agents working for the UN, I don't do your illegal foot army shit, because I know your entire operation, and I know that you use your little, you know, surplus of workers, of immigrants workers right there. See that big yellow thing right there? That's where all the immigrants come from, folks. All the little yellow things is all the little beautiful, delicious culture, you know, a man of culture comes from. See that? Chinese from the top, Mexicans from the bottom, and you got more people right there from the, you know, freaking Canada right there. They travel right here. Every season they come down here on the summer to escape the little winter, and they keep spreading the little spies everywhere, monitoring the population, monitoring the distribution, monitoring the franchise, monitoring everybody, keeping their eyes on the population, looking at the crime statistics, making sure the cities are crumbling, laundering all the money, taking everything from the population so they look weak, they look beat up, they look poor, poverty, crimes, and everything else, destroying the local population, destroying the country, and everything else. You know how I know this? Because I was there. I was watching every single one of these motherfuckers operating, because I work with this shit, man. I see everything, every state. I talk to a lot of drivers behind me here, and it's always the same. Everything's the same. Nothing's different. All the building codes, all the franchises, all the everything's the same. Literally, there's no culture. You go from Canada, I mean, you drive from Florida all the way down to freaking Oregon. You know, you don't see anything different at all. You see the same franchise. You see the same people wearing the same shiny shit, eating the same kind of crap, talking about the same ideologies. Democrats was Republicans, and they're demoralized, you know, political ideologies, while these motherfuckers right here take over the country. I am done ranting. This video, you know, let me tell you something. This video is sponsored by intelme.com. Go to freaking intelme.com. I have a lot of information on intelme.com. Intelme.com. Here, start a notepad here real quick. I can write it down to you guys. I'm not an anti-Semite, whatever the fuck you guys want to, whatever that means. Go to this website right here. Intelme.com. I put post video right there. It's my own source code of YouTube, so that it's not censored. And you can go to bhub.org too. It's just like Twitter. You can download apps for any kind of the mobile device, freaking Apple, Android, whatever tracking, contact tracing device you got from your overlord Chinese technocrats, and your Google right there spying on you. Go over there on bhub.com. Get rid of the parasite that's spreading lies all over Twitter, censor and shadow banning, contact tracing, monitoring, and sharing your data with the Chi-Coms and everything else, man. It's insane. This is an organized international takeover. UN operatives targeting, manipulating, brainwashing the local population, making you poor, and everything else, destroying the franchise, destroying the independent truck drivers like myself, who's been targeted like a million years already. Feels like forever. Feels like it's never gonna stop. And all I can do is to keep fighting, keep pushing, you know. But let me tell you something, folks. One of these days, shit's gonna hit the fan, because people are gonna be poor. They have $100,000 in debt right now from fake, you know, demoralized schools that gave them false hopes that, you know, your past psychology, the PhD in past psychology, is going to give you a $100,000 job. You know, that's never going to happen. You know why? Because the franchise was taken over, and the only jobs you're going to have is working at McDonald's, my friend. Make sure you put your smile on your face when you say, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. Would you like a Big Mac?" You know? And that's all the jobs you're going to have from now on. Or stacking Walmart's supplements, and then if you're smart enough, you get to work with their bookkeeping, where you can get to buy and not make any money at all. You know, you got your little part-time job where you know, act like you're trendy, and you have like hundreds and thousands of credit cards, and just stack the credit card debt all the way down to the end of the year. Get your tax return and feel miserable at the end of the year. And then, hey, you know, at least they throw you a little Black Friday at the end of the year, huh? Where you can respend all your, you know, shit on Chinese crap on their own franchise, electronics and all crap that you can get to keep feeding and funding these cocksuckers right here. And the money is never going to be recycled back into the economy, back into the people. The money always stays outside the country to the international bankers and everything else. Remember the housing bailout, where Bernanke was talking about how, you know, the money, where did the money go? The money went to hundreds of different thousands of banks and international banks overseas. Why did the money go overseas? Well, let me tell you something. This is why. See this map right here? This is why. All the $1 trillion being used against you, America. Everything. Wake the fuck up before it's too late, and you wake up, you know, in a socialist country run by radicals who are trying to destroy your peace, tranquility, your education, and everything else. Your community leaders, your selected officials and elected official, elected official. They're trying to destroy you. They're trying to make you depressed. They're trying to make you dependent on their drugs. They're trying to make you take prescription drugs. They're trying to make you take painkillers. They're trying to make you feel pain, anxiety, feel like you're lost, feeling like you're just this terrible feeling of like despotism. This is why right here. You know, it's not the Republicans and the white counties and the white people right there on the little white map. They don't have shit, man. I've been to the whitest counties in America, in West Virginia, and everybody else. They're all selling out to China because their elected officials were all replaced by, guess who? UN operatives, and they are so poor, and they're democratic too. So the white folks that you've been fighting against, they're some of them are some of the worst and racist people you can think of, and there's some good people too. But let me tell you something: they're all poor, in debt, and they got no money, and they're looking at their life, and it's just like, man, what the fuck, Well, there's no future here, You get a trade job, and you get to, clean people's pools, and you get to weld a couple things here and there, but that's all they're doing. They get to fix a couple cars here and there to make some extra money at the end of the week. That's it, man. They don't got nothing going on. Shit, they got a little. And the funny thing is that every time I go to freaking Indiana, I see all these Amish people. The only difference is that Amish people have like great German food and all that, and it's a very, very tiny little fraction of America. The only difference is like 0.1%, where you go to those Amish community and you get to try out their Amish food, and they're all like running away, and they're all like, oh my god, who are all these people, man? Everything's the same out there, and they ride their horses around, afraid of everyone. They're not allowed to interact with any of the socialists, conspirators trying to hijack and rape their women and do all kinds of criminal activities and all that. Let me tell you, man, I get to see this firsthand. I get to interact with all this map right here, this little plane coming in, dropping Chinese crap. I'm the little truck right here. This is the little truck right here. I'm this guy right here on the top. We run majority of the distribution because there's nowhere else to work for. I work for distribution of car parts for all of you car enthusiasts out there who are fixing your cars right now. I'm the guy who brought those parts in, and you know where those parts came from? From fucking Mexico, my dude. From fucking Mexico. Hey, but don't tell anybody I told you that, But they get for pennies on the dollar, and it's not American.